I'm the white car here. Pull it out, pull it right here so it'll be easier to load up. Get you all set up here. Alrighty. Our unit goes out proactively and tries to root out the crime in the different areas. A bulk of our time is spent on the drug problem because right now, especially with all the overdose deaths, that is the #1 threat to public safety. An explosion is probably an appropriate word of overdoses. I mean, on call used to be, maybe I'll get called, maybe I won't. I mean, now if you're on call, you're getting called. For the week you're on call, you're getting called multiple times a week with overdoses. Just that to me has been, I guess, the wow thing for me, is just to see that explosion. And we've had to really shift gears from an investigative standpoint. When we deal with individuals that have overdosed, we try to make sure that they're first okay, and then we try to work with them to get them into a drug treatment program. At the same time, try to identify who their source of drug supply is. In the last 3 years, it's just exploded to where heroin is the #1 target, if you will. And it has to be. It's the one that's killing people. It's the one that's damaging communities, damaging families. People who are using heroin are also committing other crimes to fuel their addiction. So there's thefts, there's burglaries, there's all these other problems that stem from heroin abuse. If you look at the non-fatal overdoses, we're in the 70 to 90 range. That's 70 or 90 people that could be dead this year if it wasn't for Narcan. I'm not saying that every one of them was saved by Narcan, but I can tell you that a high percentage of non-fatal overdoses are non-fatal because of Narcan. So if we didn't have Narcan, we'd be talking, year to date over 100 dead bodies. And we're not at that because of Narcan. So has it saved lives? Absolutely. Has it also encouraged people to continue their behavior and they know that Narcan's kind of like a fallback safe for them? Unfortunately, yes, that is a kind of a thing that's happened, unfortunately, that they've said, oh, well, I can push the limit because I know Narcan is going to save me. And the next day they're overdosing again because they know the Narcan will, save them. So it's important that we get the community and we work with the community to identify these little problem neighborhoods where we can then focus investigations and resources. So what we'll do first is I'll take you over to the hotel. Usually it's a lot of what we call guest dealers, and they'll rent a room for a day or two, and they'll sell their drugs out of the room, and then they'll leave and go back. We have to identify areas like this, like the hotel systems off the interstate highway where individuals are coming to sell drugs and to commit crimes, while also at the same time working with the community to identify neighborhoods that are having drug problems. This was a neighborhood that was suffering from open air. And what I mean by open air is we had individuals that were standing on the corner selling heroin in open view. Come down into here, this is a one-way in, one-way out neighborhood. So we have this traffic circle here. So we had individuals that were standing on the corner selling heroin, and they would go back into that wood line over there and then ingest the heroin using a syringe intravenously in that wood line. So we got a complaint from the citizens that live here that there's multiple people hanging out. We were able to, through an investigation, identify who the main person was selling heroin in this neighborhood, and then furthermore build a case with our state's attorney's office that resulted in successful prosecution. Drugs fuel a number of other crimes, and they all damage the community in a very serious way. So at Damascus Gardens, prior to 2011, 2012, the citizens that lived in that apartment community were plagued with open-air drug sales, drug dealers that were coming in from out of the area to sell drugs, drug users that were going into the complex to buy drugs from the drug dealers. And what we did was, the first phase was to eradicate, to the best of our ability, the individuals that were selling drugs and to identify the people that were using and abusing them. That took about 9 months. We were able to arrest a number of individuals. And then what we did was, with the users, we tried to get the users treatment, and then let's make sure that the people that live there are getting the resources that they need to improve their quality of life and apprehend the most serious offenders, which were all successfully prosecuted, many of them sent to State Department of Corrections. Complete 180 degrees compared to what it used to be years ago. But this community would not be as clean as it is right now if we didn't have the support of the community itself and also the apartment complex. Property management company was very good about screening, and the community became very good about reporting suspicious activity and making sure that we were able to stay on top of anything. That's where it's important, though, if we can't leave permanent police behind in a neighborhood, that's where it's very important that the community works with us to immediately report suspicious activity so it doesn't get out of hand.
More than 2 years after the drug market initiative began, Damascus Gardens has turned over a new leaf. Officials and residents were recognized by the council for their efforts to take back their community.
I mean, one of the reasons that this program is a success is that you don't just go in, arrest a few drug dealers, and then leave, because that is not a solution. That's not a long-term answer to a problem like this. Basically, take a neighborhood where the residents did not feel safe and turned it into a neighborhood where the residents do feel safe.
And when you're talking about saving a neighborhood, it's not just about saving the neighborhood itself, but it's also the people that are there, the people that live in despair, that think that nobody cares about them. I think I'm blessed, and I think this county is blessed to have people behind me like this who care enough about people's quality of life and wanted to do something about it.
If we can educate people not to use the substance, if we can arrest the drug dealers and the importers, so we try to reduce and remove the amount of heroin on the street, and then if we interact with our users and try to get them treatment and get them off the substance, all three of those things together is all equally important and all equally what's going to give us, a path towards success.